Beneath the familiar ground you walk on lies a hidden world of ancient maps. Colossal designs, known as geoglyphs, were etched into the Earth's surface by unknown hands thousands of years ago, forming images so vast they can only be seen from the sky. Why would ancient civilizations pour generations of effort into creating immense artworks they themselves could never fully behold? This journey will uncover the secrets behind these terrestrial puzzles and reveal a forgotten chapter of human ingenuity that challenges everything we thought we knew about the past. You will discover the true purpose of these sprawling formations, from celestial calendars to sacred landscapes. How did cultures separated by oceans develop such similar, monumental ideas? What does this tell us about the universal human need to leave a mark on the world? What one mystery from the ancient world would you most want to solve? The vast, sun-scorched plains of southern Peru hold one of the world's most perplexing artistic achievements. From the air, the landscape transforms into a colossal canvas, revealing the immense figures of the Nazca Lines, etched into the desert floor over a 1,000-year period. These geoglyphs were crafted with astonishing simplicity and profound skill. Ancient workers carefully removed the dark, iron oxide-coated stones that litter the ground, pushing them aside to expose the lighter, sandy-colored earth beneath. This stark contrast created lines that have endured for centuries, preserved by one of the driest climates on Earth. The resulting gallery is staggering in its variety and scale. A hummingbird with wings outstretched spans over 300 feet, a spiral-tailed monkey, a spider with one leg elongated in a precise line, and a massive orca all appear as if drawn by a giant's hand. The sheer size of these creations presents the central mystery. The people who made them, members of the Nazca culture, walked upon this earth without any means of flight. They could never have witnessed their own work in its full, breathtaking glory. This fact forces us to ask, for whom were these masterpieces intended? One compelling idea is that they functioned as a massive astronomical calendar, their long lines pointing toward celestial bodies on the horizon, marking solstices and seasonal changes vital for agriculture. Another theory suggests they were ceremonial pathways walked by priests during sacred rituals. Their journeys across the giant shapes a form of physical prayer. Perhaps they were messages or offerings to deities believed to reside in the sky, creations meant only for the eyes of the gods. The technical achievement alone is mind-boggling. How did they achieve such perfect proportions and straight lines over miles of terrain without modern tools or a high vantage point? Scholars propose they used simple surveying techniques, perhaps employing a series of stakes and ropes to scale up small models into gigantic designs. Yet the precision remains a testament to their incredible understanding of geometry and their determined, generations-long effort. The silent, sprawling desert art of Nazca pushes us to look beyond our own perspective, to consider a world where the Earth itself was a sacred interface between humanity and the cosmos. This profound desire to inscribe meaning onto the landscape was not unique to Peru, as similar impulses appeared across the globe, from the chalk hills of England to the remote valleys of the Middle East. The rolling hills of Oxfordshire hold a different kind of mystery, one carved not into a flat desert but into the very contours of the land itself. For nearly 3,000 years, a majestic white horse has galloped across the slope of Uffington Hill. This is not a painting but a geoglyph formed by trenches cut deep into the hillside, trenches then packed with brilliant white chalk that shines against the green turf. The figure is breathtakingly stylized, its body a long, flowing abstraction, all elegant curves and dynamic energy stretched over 360 feet. To truly appreciate its form, you must see it from a distance, either from the air or from the valley below, a perspective its Bronze Age creators clearly understood. They designed this symbol to be seen by the community across the landscape, a permanent and powerful part of their world. The purpose of this ancient steed is still debated. Was it a symbol of a specific tribe, a territorial marker declaring who ruled these hills? Or was it a sacred image, perhaps representing a powerful Celtic horse goddess, Epona, connecting the people to divine forces of fertility and sovereignty? The horse's incredible longevity offers another clue. It has survived millennia not by chance but through continuous care. For centuries, local communities have engaged in a tradition known as scouring, regularly cleaning and rechalking the figure in a communal act of preservation. This ritual itself speaks volumes, revealing a deep, enduring connection between the people and this ancestral artwork, a bond that has literally kept the symbol alive through generations. This profound relationship between a community and a shaped landscape finds an even grander expression in another part of the world, where the earth was molded not into a single figure but into an entire ceremonial complex. Coiling gracefully for nearly a quarter-mile across an Ohio River plateau, the Great Serpent Mound represents a different kind of terrestrial art. This is not a surface image but a massive earthen sculpture, an effigy built from layers of clay, ash, and soil that rises from the ground itself. From above, the form is unmistakable, a giant serpentine body undulating across the landscape, culminating in a gaping mouth that seems to hold an egg-shaped object. Constructed by the Fort Ancient culture around 1070 CE, it stands as the largest effigy mound in the world. Its design reveals a profound connection to the heavens, as the serpent's head aligns precisely with the setting sun of the summer solstice, while its coiled body may point to other celestial events like the equinox sunrises. This was more than a simple image. It was a sophisticated astronomical instrument etched into the very earth. The serpent held immense symbolic power for many Native American cultures, often representing the underworld, the life-giving force of water, and the cycles of fertility and rebirth. So, what was the true purpose of this monumental symbol? Was it a giant calendar marking the passage of seasons, a sacred space for ceremonies connecting the community to cosmic cycles, or perhaps a three-dimensional map of the universe, illustrating a creation myth for all to walk beside? The mound's silent, coiled form holds its secrets close, inviting us to contemplate a worldview where the earth and sky were intimately intertwined. This drive to shape the land into a meaningful symbol connects these American earthworks to an even more remote and enigmatic site, where the scale of ambition stretches the imagination to its very limits. Far to the south, in the stark and haunting beauty of the Atacama Desert, a giant keeps watch. Known as the Atacama Giant, this colossal human-like figure stands 390 feet tall, a true titan among ancient earth drawings. Created by indigenous peoples between 1000 and 1400 CE, this figure is not alone. It is the most prominent piece in a sprawling gallery of geoglyphs that includes straight lines, perfect circles, and other abstract forms stretching across the arid plains. The giant itself is a marvel of design, its head crowned with distinct rectangular projections that scholars suggest could represent a headdress of power or a stylized halo. But this was likely more than a simple portrait. The figure's long, straight legs and specific positioning appear to align with the slopes of the surrounding hills, creating a relationship with the moon that marks the passage of time. It may have functioned as a sophisticated astronomical calendar, its form a permanent clock face etched into the desert floor, helping its creators predict seasonal changes vital for survival. Yet its purpose was likely as layered as the landscape itself. Located directly along ancient trade routes, this giant and its companion glyphs would have been visible landmarks for the llama caravans that moved goods across vast distances. They were a sophisticated communication system, a way to signal safe paths, designate gathering places, and reinforce cultural identity for travelers navigating one of the most challenging environments on Earth. What does this silent sentinel tell us? It speaks of a society deeply connected to the cosmos, yet intensely practical, transforming their entire territory into a living, navigable map of both the heavens and the earth. This universal drive to mark the land for guidance and meaning did not stop in the Americas, as a similar impulse created giants on the other side of the world. While ancient hands created the geoglyphs we have explored, a massive figure in the Australian outback proves this mysterious tradition did not end with the past. The Maori Man emerged into modern awareness in 1998, a colossal depiction of an Aboriginal hunter carved into the stark, red earth of South Australia. Stretching 2.6 miles from head to toe, its immense form is visible only from the air, its lines carved a foot deep into the crust of the desert. This is not an ancient relic but a modern creation, and that fact makes its complete anonymity all the more puzzling. Who poured the resources and effort into creating one of the largest human figures on the planet, and then vanished without a trace? No individual, artist, or organization has ever stepped forward to claim responsibility. The hunter holds a traditional throwing stick, a woomera, a detail that shows deep cultural knowledge, yet the act of carving such a figure without permission raises complex questions about land and legacy. Was it an elaborate artistic hoax, a clandestine survey marker, or a tribute that missed its mark? The mystery only deepens when you consider the methods required for its creation. In an age of satellites and GPS, the creator used sophisticated surveying to plot the figure with such precision, yet left behind only a handful of cryptic clues, including a note found in a remote jar referencing local tribal stories. This modern enigma holds up a mirror to the same impulses that drove the Nazca and Atacama peoples, the timeless human need to inscribe a story onto the earth itself, to create something so vast it defies easy understanding. It connects our world directly to theirs, proving that the desire to leave a monumental mark is a thread woven through human history, from the deepest past to the edge of living memory. The silent perfection of these sprawling lines and figures forces a humbling question. How did ancient minds without satellites or even hot air balloons map such immense designs onto the very skin of the earth? The answer lies not in complex machinery but in profound intellectual mastery using the simplest of tools. Imagine a vast desert floor transformed into a geometric grid. Ancient surveyors likely began with a master plan, a small-scale model drawn on a more manageable surface. They would then scale this design up using a consistent unit of measurement, a length perhaps based on a human stride or a specific rope length. To create the Nazca Lines' breathtakingly straight path stretching for miles, they probably hammered a series of wooden stakes into the ground connected by a taut rope. By sighting along this line, they could maintain a perfect trajectory across the undulating terrain. For curves and circles, a central stake with a rotating rope would act like a giant compass, scratching perfect arcs into the desert floor. But how did they achieve perfect right angles and complex shapes? One of their most vital tools may have been the groma, a simple but brilliant instrument. Picture a vertical pole with a crossbar at the top from which plumb lines were suspended. By aligning these weighted strings with distant sighting poles, an engineer could establish exact perpendicular lines, creating precise squares and rectangles. For truly colossal projects spanning hills and valleys, they may have employed a system of triangulation. Using a fixed baseline and measuring angles to key points, they could calculate distances and positions with remarkable accuracy, effectively mapping the land through geometry long before the invention of the theodolite. This sophisticated understanding of space finds perhaps its ultimate expression far from the Peruvian desert, in the heartland of North America. The city of Cahokia, with its vast complex of earthen mounds, was laid out according to a grand master plan. Its central plazas and structures align with celestial events like the solstices, and its construction required moving millions of cubic feet of earth in precisely engineered layers. The builders of Cahokia were not just moving dirt, they were executing a geometric vision of the cosmos, proving that the capacity to shape the world on a monumental scale was a shared and brilliant hallmark of ancient ingenuity across the globe. This sprawling city by the Mississippi River was a marvel of ancient North America. Cahokia was not merely a large village but a true metropolis, a pulsating hub of culture, trade, and governance that, at its zenith, was home to as many as 20,000 people. Its skyline was not defined by steel and glass, but by earth and sky, dominated by the colossal Monk's Mound. This immense terraced platform, larger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza, required the movement of millions of baskets of soil, all by hand. To stand at its summit, likely the site of a temple or a leader's residence, was to look out over a meticulously planned urban center, a testament to a highly organized society. The city's heart was the Grand Plaza, a vast, open expanse flanked by other mounds, a public space for gatherings, markets, and ceremonies that unified the community. Perhaps most telling of their cosmic awareness was Woodhenge, a great circle of towering wooden posts rebuilt multiple times. This was their astronomical clock, where the alignment of specific posts with the rising sun at the equinoxes and solstices marked the passage of the seasons, guiding agricultural cycles and sacred rituals. This careful orientation of their entire city to the heavens reveals a world where the earthly and the celestial were deeply intertwined. So what kind of society could orchestrate such a grand vision? The scale of construction at Cahokia implies a powerful, centralized authority, a chief or a priestly class capable of mobilizing a vast labor force for generations. The city's decline around the 1300s CE remains a subject of study, with researchers suggesting factors like environmental changes or resource management challenges may have led to its eventual dispersal. Yet the silent mounds of Cahokia still speak volumes. They tell of a complex culture with a sophisticated understanding of engineering, astronomy, and social organization, whose geometric earthworks were not just monuments but the very foundations of a way of life. This drive to shape the landscape with geometric precision connects Cahokia to other enigmatic sites where the earth itself was transformed into a grand, symbolic language, the meaning of which we are still striving to fully understand. Scattered across the stark expanse of California's Colorado Desert, another gallery of giant slumbers, known as the Blythe intaglios, these colossal figures lay undiscovered by the modern world until a pilot flying overhead in the 1930s noticed the immense shapes gazing up from the earth. Created by the ancestors of the Mojave and Quechan peoples, the geoglyphs depict human forms, a coiled serpent, and a powerful mountain lion, with the largest stretching over 170 feet in length. They were crafted using the same fundamental technique as the Nazca Lines, where ancient artists carefully scraped away the dark, weathered stones of the desert pavement to expose the lighter, creamy soil beneath, creating a contrast that has endured for perhaps 1,000 years. The sheer scale of these beings presents the same compelling mystery. They are terrestrial art on a monumental scale, designed for a viewpoint their creators could never physically achieve. So what was their true purpose? For the indigenous peoples of this region, these figures were not mere drawings but profound expressions of their spiritual worldview. Oral traditions and cultural knowledge suggest they are connected to creation stories, representing powerful ancestral beings or celestial deities. One giant human figure is thought to depict Mastamho, the creator god of the Mojave, while the serpent may symbolize the great water serpent that shaped the Colorado River. These were not just images, they were a sacred landscape, a place where myth became geography, and the people could walk beside the immense forms of their own cosmology. The act of creating and perhaps ceremonially walking these figures would have connected the community directly to the stories that defined their origins and their place in the universe. This deep integration of celestial belief and earthly design pushes us to look for other sites where the land itself was transformed into a functioning observatory, a place to read the time in the movements of the stars. The coast of Brittany in France presents a scene of profound and ancient order. Here, across a gentle landscape, thousands of prehistoric standing stones stand in silent, disciplined rows forming the Karnak alignments. Erected by Neolithic peoples over 6,000 years ago, this is not a random collection of rocks but one of the most extensive and orderly megalithic sites on Earth. The three primary settings, Menek, Kamario, and Kaleskan, consist of thousands of individual stones arranged in parallel lines that march across the terrain for more than 2 miles. To walk among them is to move through a forest of granite, a geometry of the Earth that feels both methodical and mysterious. The sheer scale of the endeavor is staggering, demanding a society capable of organizing a massive labor force to transport, shape, and raise these colossal stones, each one a testament to a shared and powerful purpose. What vision compelled such a monumental and generational effort? One of the most enduring theories points to the sky. The long, straight rows of the alignments may have functioned as a colossal astronomical observatory, their axes carefully positioned to frame the rising and setting of the sun and moon during key points of the year, such as the solstices. This would have transformed the entire landscape into a giant calendar, marking the passage of seasons essential for planting and harvest. Another possibility is that these lines defined a sacred precinct, a processional way for ceremonies that connected the community to ancestral spirits or powerful natural forces. The stones themselves, some towering over human height, might have represented individuals, lineages, or even deities, forming a permanent congregation frozen in stone. Whether as a celestial clock, a territorial marker, or a temple without walls, the Karnak alignments speak of a culture that sought to weave cosmic order into the very fabric of their world. This deep desire to read the heavens in the arrangement of stones on the ground is a thread that stretches across continents and cultures, revealing a universal human impulse to find meaning in the stars above and translate it into legacy on the earth below. Centuries before the Inca mastered their mountain empire, another society on the Peruvian coast was reading the sky with breathtaking precision. The Chanquillo complex, built around 300 years before the Common Era, presents a stark and elegant silhouette against the desert horizon. 13 nearly identical stone towers stand in a carefully spaced line along the ridge of a solitary hill, creating a jagged skyline that, at first glance, might be mistaken for a natural rock formation. But this was no fortress or random outpost. It was a colossal solar calendar, one of the oldest and most sophisticated ever discovered in the Americas. From 2 distinct observing points on either side of the ridge, the entire solar year unfolds across this stone ruler. On the December solstice, the sun would rise directly to the left of the first tower. As the days passed, the sunrise point would appear to travel along the horizon, moving from one gap between the towers to the next. By the June solstice, it would rise at the far right end of the sequence before beginning its slow journey back. An observer standing at the western viewpoint could track the sun's descent in the same way, marking its passage with an accuracy of just a day or two. This was a society that had transformed an entire hilltop into a precise, permanent clock, its gears made of stone and sunlight. The surrounding complex, with its fortified walls and ceremonial plazas, suggests this was far more than a scientific tool. It was likely the heart of a sun cult, a sacred center where priest astronomers wielded the power to predict the seasons, dictating the optimal times for planting and harvest, and perhaps even coordinating important rituals that affirmed their connection to the cosmic order. Why was this solar knowledge so vital? In a world dependent on agriculture, tracking the sun was a matter of survival. It meant the difference between a bountiful harvest and hardship. The ability to accurately mark the solstices and equinoxes granted its keepers immense authority, embedding a celestial rhythm into the very fabric of daily life and spiritual practice. The legacy of Chanquillo's astronomical wisdom likely echoed through the centuries, influencing the celestial observations of later cultures like the Inca, who held the sun god Inti at the center of their universe. This profound understanding that the earth itself could be shaped to capture the movement of the heavens forces us to reconsider other ancient sites. How many other earthworks, now silent and enigmatic, were once giant, functioning calendars, their true purpose waiting to be rediscovered in the alignment of a stone or the shadow of a hill? The sheer scale of human ambition to mark the earth finds its ultimate expression not in isolated figures, but in a sprawling, interconnected web. In the high plains of western Bolivia, the Sajama lines create a landscape transformed. This is not a collection of individual drawings but a vast network of straight paths, an astonishing lattice of lines etched across an area larger than some small countries, covering approximately 8,700 square miles. These lines form the largest set of geoglyphs known anywhere in the world. For 3,000 years, the indigenous Karangas people patiently scraped away the dark, oxidized stones covering the ground, revealing the lighter, sandy earth underneath to create countless straight paths that crisscross the altiplano. They did not create random scratches on the land. These lines radiate purposefully from central points, flowing out from villages and ceremonial centers like spokes from a hub, connecting the living community to the wider, sacred world. The imposing presence of the Sajama volcano, a sacred mountain, looms over the entire region, suggesting these paths may have been pilgrimage routes, guiding people on spiritual journeys toward this powerful natural monument. Were they territorial markers defining the lands of different clans? Could they have been astronomical sightlines, connecting the people to celestial events on the horizon? The true purpose is layered, reflecting a worldview where travel, territory, and spirituality were seamlessly woven together. This colossal undertaking reveals a society with incredible social organization, capable of coordinating a project that spanned countless generations. It speaks of a spiritual geography where every path had meaning, and the entire landscape was a map of both physical and sacred connections. This immense web pushes us to see these ancient creations not as separate curiosities, but as integral parts of a living, cultural landscape, a network of meaning written directly upon the earth itself. Carved into a steep coastal hillside in Peru, the Paracas candelabra stands as a stark white symbol against the rust-colored earth. This immense geoglyph, stretching nearly 600 feet from base to tip, presides over the bay with an air of ancient authority. Its form is unmistakable, a giant three-pronged fork or perhaps a stylized candlestick deeply grooved into the sandy slope. The precision of its lines has endured for over 2,000 years, a testament to the skill of its creators, likely the Paracas people. Its strategic placement is the first clue to its potential purpose. Visible from 12 miles out to sea, it would have been the first landmark spotted by sailors returning from long voyages. For ancient mariners navigating the vast Pacific, this colossal signpost could have meant the difference between a safe homecoming and disaster, a permanent coastal beacon guiding them toward shore. Yet its distinctive trident shape suggests a meaning far deeper than simple navigation. This was not a random design. Some researchers propose it represents the constellation Orion, a celestial hunter important to many ancient cultures. Others see a connection to the local Jimson weed, a powerful plant used in spiritual ceremonies whose seed pod forms a perfect trident. Was this hillside a sacred billboard, merging the practical need for safe passage with a spiritual message for those who understood its code? The candelabra does not yield its secrets easily. It stands as a powerful reminder that for ancient societies, the line between the practical and the spiritual was often blurred. A symbol could be both a map for the body and a guide for the soul, a single image holding multiple layers of meaning for the community that revered it. This profound duality forces us to look beyond a single interpretation, to consider that the true purpose of such markers was woven from many threads, their full significance now faded into the coastal mists. These sprawling earthworks were not born from a single idea but from a rich tapestry of human need and belief, their purposes likely intertwined, blending the practical with the profound in ways we are only beginning to understand. At sites like Chanquillo, the function was clear and scientific, a solar calendar that marked the seasons with stone and shadow. This knowledge was power, dictating the optimal times for planting and harvest, ensuring the community's survival. Yet this practical tool was almost certainly wrapped in spiritual significance, its use governed by a priestly class who interpreted the will of the gods through the sun's journey. The same duality is etched into the Great Serpent Mound. Its coils align with solstice sunsets, acting as a celestial marker, but its form is that of a powerful mythological being. This was not just an observatory, it was a sacred space where rituals connected the people to creation stories and the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The very act of walking beside such a symbol was a form of worship, a physical connection to the cosmos. The straight lines of Nazca and the radiating paths of the Sajama network could have served as processional ways for pilgrims, guiding them on spiritual journeys across a sacred geography. They may have also defined territory, their immense scale a clear declaration of a group's presence and authority over the land, a message understood by neighboring communities and the gods alike. Some researchers propose even more esoteric meanings. Could these colossal figures be maps of a spiritual underworld or giant representations of constellations, bringing the starry sky down to earth? Were they offerings, prayers in physical form meant to be seen only by deities in the sky? This line of questioning inevitably leads to a more speculative idea, one that has captured the modern imagination. The notion that these immense, ground-based designs were meant as signals or messages for beings not of this world. While this theory is often presented in popular culture, it tends to overlook the deep cultural and spiritual sophistication of the societies who created them. These ancient hands were not looking for outsiders, they were mapping their own universe, inscribing their understanding of life, the heavens, and their place within it all onto the only canvas vast enough to hold such a grand vision, the Earth itself. The idea that these massive designs were intended for otherworldly eyes is a narrative that has captured the public imagination for decades. This theory suggests that ancient peoples created the geoglyphs, particularly the sprawling lines of Nazca, as landing strips or signals for extraterrestrial visitors. The core argument rests on a simple but powerful observation that the full impact of these creations can only be seen from high above, a perspective their human makers supposedly lack. This line of thinking asks us to believe that ancient cultures, faced with a mystery, must have received outside help. Yet, the vast majority of archaeologists and historians see a different story, one written entirely by human hands. They point to the incredible but demonstrable engineering skills of these societies, from the simple surveying tools that could achieve such precision to the deep cultural and spiritual reasons they had for altering their landscape. The enduring appeal of the alien hypothesis often reveals a modern bias, a subtle underestimation of the creativity and intellectual power of our ancestors. Why is it sometimes easier to attribute these wonders to visitors from the stars than to the profound capabilities of humanity itself? While the idea of ancient astronauts is a compelling story, it can overshadow the rich, human-centered explanations that connect these earthworks to astronomy, spirituality, and community identity. The true wonder lies not in searching for external influences, but in appreciating the monumental achievements that ancient cultures accomplished on their own, leaving behind a legacy etched not for aliens, but for their own understanding of the world and their place within the cosmos. This leads us to a final, unifying question that connects all these disparate sites across the globe. These immense maps on the Earth's surface face a slow and steady fading. Time itself is their greatest adversary, as wind and rain gradually soften the sharp lines of a chalk horse or blur the edges of a desert glyph. Yet the modern world brings new pressures. The fragile crust of the Nazca Desert has been scarred by the tracks of unauthorized vehicles, and illegal mining operations nearby threaten the stability of the ancient ground. In England, the majestic white horses and giants carved into the hillsides require a constant, loving battle against nature, as regular scouring by volunteers is the only thing that prevents them from vanishing beneath a blanket of grass and soil. The challenge is a profound one, balancing the public's right to see and learn from these wonders with the absolute necessity of protecting them. How do you preserve something that was designed to be seen without the very act of viewing contributing to its decline? Legal protections and physical barriers are essential, but so is a shift in understanding, helping communities and visitors see themselves not just as spectators but as guardians of a shared, fragile inheritance. This ongoing struggle to safeguard these open-air galleries has found a powerful ally in the skies above, where modern eyes are learning to see what the ancient ones first envisioned. The silent earthworks that have endured for millennia are now whispering their secrets to a new generation of explorers, not through shovels but through lasers. The advent of LiDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging, has fundamentally rewritten our map of the ancient world. This remarkable technology works by mounting a laser scanner on an aircraft, which then fires millions of light pulses toward the ground. By measuring the time it takes for each pulse to bounce back, it constructs an exquisitely detailed, three-dimensional map of the Earth's surface. The true magic of LiDAR is its ability to see through obstacles, stripping away dense jungle canopies and thick vegetation to reveal the subtle contours of the land beneath. This has been like giving archaeologists X-ray vision. In the jungles of Guatemala, LiDAR surveys have unveiled the sprawling networks of Maya cities, revealing highways, farmlands, and defensive structures on a scale no one had previously imagined. In the vast Amazon basin, what was once thought to be a pristine wilderness has been revealed as a carefully managed landscape, dotted with geometric earthworks and ceremonial centers that testify to complex, ancient societies. How many more of these hidden maps are waiting to be revealed? The answer seems to be countless. Alongside LiDAR, the rise of drone technology has democratized this aerial perspective. Drones equipped with high-resolution cameras can now fly over known sites like the Nazca Lines or the Blythe intaglios, capturing images of stunning clarity. This allows for the meticulous monitoring of a site's condition, tracking the slow erosion of a line or the damage from a single set of tire tracks with heartbreaking precision. These tools are weaving together a digital tapestry of our planet's ancient skin, revealing a world far more intentionally designed and interconnected than we ever knew. The patterns emerging from this data are profound, showing that what we once viewed as isolated monuments were often parts of vast, integrated landscapes. The hidden maps etched by unknown hands are finally being read, not as random scratches, but as chapters in a global story of human ingenuity, a story we are only just beginning to understand. Deep within the Amazon, a forest long thought to be a pristine wilderness is revealing a secret history carved into its floor. The clearing of land for modern development, while a source of environmental concern, has accidentally uncovered a sprawling network of geometric earthworks hidden for centuries. From the air, the shapes are startlingly clear, vast circles, perfect squares, and long, straight avenues etched into the earth. These are not natural formations. They are the work of sophisticated pre-Columbian societies, with some structures dating back as far as 4,000 years. This discovery shatters a long-held historical narrative that the Amazon was a largely untouched, sparsely populated land before European contact. Instead, we are seeing the footprint of a lost world, a landscape intentionally shaped by human hands. What kind of societies built these immense enclosures? The scale and precision of the geoglyphs point to complex, organized cultures capable of mobilizing large workforces. Researchers believe these earthworks served multiple purposes. Some, with their intricate designs and central plazas, were likely ceremonial centers, places for community gatherings and rituals that connected the people to the spiritual world. Others, with their defensive ditches and embankments, may have been fortified villages, protecting their inhabitants in a world that was far more populated and interconnected than we ever realized. The most profound implication lies in the environment itself. The very existence of these structures and the societies that built them suggests that ancient Amazonians were not simply passive inhabitants of the jungle. They were active land managers who transformed their surroundings to support large-scale communities, possibly creating enriched soils to sustain agriculture in a challenging environment. So why did these cultures vanish? The answer remains one of the great puzzles. It is possible that the arrival of Europeans in the Americas brought new illnesses that devastated the population, leading to a rapid decline and the forest eventually reclaiming its own. Their disappearance speaks to the fragility of even the most established societies in the face of unforeseen challenges. This hidden map in the Amazon forces a complete rethinking of the continent's history, revealing a past rich with innovation and complexity that we are only just beginning to decode. Rising from the vibrant green hills of Dorset, a colossal figure embodies the raw, untamed power of the English landscape. The Cerne Abbas giant, a 180-foot-tall chalkman, stands bold and unclothed, his outline carved deep into the hillside and packed with brilliant white chalk. In one hand, he grips a massive 120-foot club, a clear declaration of strength. Yet it is the giant's prominent anatomical features that have fueled centuries of speculation and local legend, marking him as a potent symbol of fertility. The central mystery surrounding this imposing figure is not just what he represents, but when he was even created. The origins of the Cerne giant are a historian's battleground. One compelling theory places his birth in the deep past. suggesting he represents an ancient god, perhaps the Roman Hercules or a Celtic deity of the land, his form a sacred invocation for fertility and protection. This idea is supported by the powerful folklore that still clings to the site, where tradition holds that sleeping upon the figure, particularly within its lines, could aid in conception. For generations, this belief has woven the giant into the most intimate hopes of the community, transforming the hill into a living, breathing part of their cultural and biological lives. Yet, other evidence paints a very different picture. The first historical record of the giant only appears in the late 1600s, leading some scholars to propose he is not ancient at all, but a much later piece of political satire, a bold and mocking caricature of a contemporary figure, perhaps even aimed at Oliver Cromwell. This theory suggests the giant was a subversive joke, etched into the land to ridicule its subject. So, is he a primal god of old or a clever, rebellious insult? The enduring power of the Cerne Abbas giant may lie precisely in our inability to answer that question definitively. His true story is lost to time, allowing both the sacred and the profane to coexist in his stark white lines. He serves as a powerful reminder that the meaning of these earthworks is not fixed, but is continually rewritten by the communities that lie beside them, their stories as layered and complex as the very chalk that defines them. These colossal designs were far more than just calendars or landmarks. They were the storybooks of their time, written not on fragile pages but on the enduring skin of the earth. Each generation that added a stone to a mound or cleared a new line in the desert was actively participating in the telling of their collective story. The very act of construction became a powerful ritual, a physical reinforcement of shared identity and purpose that bound the community together across centuries. This transforms our understanding from a series of isolated mysteries to a continuous, living narrative. The Great Serpent Mound is not merely a solstice marker. It is a three-dimensional illustration of a creation epic, its coiled form a permanent reminder of the powerful beings that shaped the world. The Uffington White Horse is not just a territorial symbol, it is the embodiment of a goddess, a myth made visible for all who live in its shadow. These sites were the anchors of cultural memory, ensuring that the most important stories of origin, ancestry, and the human relationship with the cosmos would never be forgotten. For many indigenous communities today, this connection remains unbroken. The Blythe intaglios are not archaeological artifacts to be studied. They are sacred relatives, living parts of a heritage that is still felt and honored. This perspective invites a profound shift in how we view ancient history. We are not looking at ruined puzzles waiting to be solved, but at the foundational chapters of a living cultural tapestry. The earth itself was their canvas, and their history was the pigment. What other stories are still waiting not to be unearthed, but to be truly listened to in the silent language of shaped soil and stone? Along the great river valleys of the American Midwest, the earth itself rises into the forms of ancient animals. From the high bluffs overlooking the Mississippi and its tributaries, thousands of earthen mounds stretch across the landscape, not as simple hills, but as bears, birds, turtles, and panthers frozen in soil. Built by late woodland cultures over a period of 700 years, these effigy mounds represent one of the most intimate and symbolic relationships between a people and their environment. The sheer number is staggering, with Wisconsin alone once hosting tens of thousands of these formations. They were not grand, centralized projects like the pyramids, but a more organic and widespread expression of belief created by many communities across the region. Why did these cultures pour such effort into shaping the land into these specific animal forms? The answer lies in a world view where the natural and spiritual worlds were inseparable. Each animal was a powerful spirit, a clan ancestor, or a guide. A bear mound might symbolize strength and healing, its form a permanent prayer for those qualities. A water spirit in the shape of a panther could guard a river confluence, its presence a plea for safe passage and abundant resources. The birds, often built with wings outstretched as if in flight, likely served as messengers between the earthly realm and the world above. The placement of these mounds was never accidental. They cluster on high bluffs overlooking waterways, the very arteries of life and travel. This was a sacred geography, a way of mapping spiritual power directly onto the most visible and vital features of the land. To stand beside a great bird effigy on a bluff was to be at the intersection of the physical and the spiritual, the earth and the sky, the community and the cosmos. What does this tell us about their social structure? The widespread and consistent tradition suggests a shared cosmology among many groups, yet the specific clan symbols point to distinct identities within that larger belief system. Building a massive bear effigy would have been a communal act that reinforced the bonds of the bear clan, physically embedding their identity into the land for all to see. These mounds were not just monuments, they were active participants in the cultural and spiritual life of the people, a living landscape of meaning that guided their understanding of the world and their place within it. This profound desire to encode the land with animal symbolism resonates with ancient traditions across the globe, from the chalk horses of England to the desert intaglios of California, revealing a universal human impulse to weave our stories into the very ground we walk upon. The silent perfection of these earthworks inevitably sparks a bold question. Could a single, lost civilization be the master architect behind them all? Some researchers point to the shared themes of celestial alignment and the staggering scale of the construction, proposing that a sophisticated source culture, perhaps one remembered in myths like Atlantis, once traversed the globe seeding these ideas. This theory imagines a forgotten age of explorers with advanced knowledge of mathematics and engineering, a golden thread connecting the Nazca Desert to the Ohio River Valley. Yet the overwhelming consensus among archaeologists tells a different, and in many ways more remarkable, story. They see the evidence pointing not to a single lost source, but to the brilliant, independent innovations of the known indigenous cultures themselves. The similarities between sites, they argue, are not a sign of a global network, but a testament to a universal human ingenuity. Different cultures, facing similar fundamental questions about the cosmos, time, and their place in the world, arrived at similar monumental solutions using the materials and knowledge available to them. This was not a handed-down blueprint, but a parallel awakening of the human mind. So why does the idea of a lost civilization hold such powerful appeal? It often emerges where the archaeological record has gaps, offering a sweeping narrative to explain what we do not yet fully understand. But does this narrative, however compelling, inadvertently diminish the accomplishments of the known peoples of the past? Does it suggest that such grandeur could only be achieved with outside help, rather than through the slow, deliberate accumulation of knowledge over countless generations? This debate is far from settled, and it pushes us to look at these sites with humility. The true mystery may not be whether a single advanced culture existed, but how so many diverse cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, independently learned to write their dreams upon the earth with such breathtaking ambition. The symbols we see etched into the desert might not be maps of the physical world, but charts of a spiritual one. Another compelling idea suggests that the intricate, swirling forms of some geoglyphs were born from visions, from journeys into altered states of consciousness. In many ancient societies, spiritual leaders known as shamans would enter deep trances, sometimes with the aid of certain ceremonial plants, to journey into the spirit world and bring back knowledge for their people. During these profound experiences, the human mind often generates specific visual patterns known as entoptic phenomena. These are not images from the outside world, but geometric shapes, zigzags, spirals, and grids that arise from within our own nervous system. Look at the long, unwavering lines of Nazca, the perfect concentric circles found in other sites, or the complex, interlocking patterns. They bear a striking resemblance to these universal visions. Could these earthworks be a shaman's attempt to permanently fix a powerful spiritual vision onto the landscape? A giant spider might not be just an animal, but a potent spirit guide encountered in a trance. A labyrinthine spiral could map the path the soul takes to reach the other world. This perspective transforms the desert floor from a simple canvas into a sacred text, a permanent record of encounters with the divine. How might understanding these ancient spiritual practices help us finally decode the symbolism of these earthworks? It invites us to see them not as random art, but as deliberate, meaningful expressions of a shared inner experience. This psychological dimension adds a profound layer to our interpretation, suggesting that the true scale of these creations is not just their physical size, but the vastness of the human consciousness that conceived them. The lines become a bridge between worlds, meant not for the eyes of gods in the sky, but for the spirit moving within the land itself. The silent lines of the desert have not remained silent in our modern world. They have sparked a wildfire of imagination, finding new life in the pages of best-selling novels and the sprawling worlds of blockbuster films. In these stories, a geoglyph is rarely just a line in the sand. It becomes a secret key, a coded message left by a lost civilization that holds the power to save humanity or unlock an unimaginable technology. This narrative transforms ancient creators into prophetic figures, their earthworks a puzzle for a modern hero to solve. This fictional treatment, while thrilling, often oversimplifies the profound cultural and spiritual reality of the sites. The allure extends beyond adventure into the realm of conspiracy, where the same lines are reinterpreted as landing strips for ancient astronauts or as proof of a single, globe-spanning superculture that history has forgotten. These alternative narratives, though compelling, frequently overlook the established archaeological evidence pointing to diverse, independent human achievements. Why does this happen? The sheer scale and mystery of the geoglyphs create a vacuum, and human nature abhors an empty space. We are driven to fill it with stories that resonate with our contemporary hopes, fears, and sometimes our desire for a more fantastical past. This widespread fascination, for all its potential to spread misinformation, also holds a powerful, positive truth. It proves that the public's thirst for the ancient world is unquenchable. The very fact that millions of people are drawn to speculate about the Nazca Lines or the Great Serpent Mound ensures that these sites remain in the global conversation, inspiring new generations to ask questions and seek their own answers. This popular engagement, when channeled thoughtfully, can be a force for good, fueling support for preservation and funding for legitimate research. The challenge lies in navigating the line between imaginative wonder and historical respect, between the story we wish were true and the even more remarkable story that the Earth itself is trying to tell us. This grand story of ancient earthworks is far from complete. The study of these hidden maps is entering a new and thrilling era, driven by unexplored frontiers and powerful new ways of seeing. Vast regions of our planet remain archaeological blanks on the map, particularly dense rainforests and remote, arid deserts where the canopy and sand have guarded their secrets for centuries. It is in these untouched landscapes that countless undiscovered earthworks almost certainly wait, their silent forms holding new chapters of human history. The future of discovery will no longer rely on archaeology alone. It will be a deeply interdisciplinary quest, weaving together threads from geology, which can reveal how ancient builders understood their land, from climatology, which uncovers the environmental pressures they faced, and from sophisticated digital modeling that can virtually reconstruct a site and test theories about its use. Perhaps the most vital partnership, however, is with the living descendants of the very people who created these wonders. Collaborations with indigenous communities are unlocking a dimension of understanding that technology alone cannot provide. Their oral histories, passed down through countless generations, and their profound traditional knowledge offer invaluable context, transforming anonymous lines in the desert back into sacred narratives and cultural landmarks. What breathtaking discoveries might the next decade unveil? We could find earthworks that challenge our entire timeline of civilization in the Amazon, or celestial calendars in the Sahara that redefine ancient astronomy. The quest to understand these hidden maps is an ongoing journey of humility and wonder, a promise that the final word on our shared human past has not yet been written. From the stark deserts of Peru to the rolling hills of England, these hidden maps stand as a powerful testament to human ingenuity. They are a legacy of spiritual vision and a profound connection to the landscape, carved by ancient ancestors who saw the earth itself as a living canvas. Each colossal line and figure pushes back against our modern assumptions, revealing that prehistoric technology was not primitive but brilliantly effective, born from a deep understanding of geometry, astronomy, and the local environment. This universal drive to create, to mark our place in the world, and to seek meaning in the cosmos seems to be a fundamental thread in the human story, woven across cultures and continents. While countless mysteries about their specific meanings remain, every new discovery, every flight of a drone or laser scan from the sky, brings us one step closer to understanding the minds behind these monumental works. The Earth still holds many secrets in its vast, unexplored corners. The next great geoglyph, the next chapter in this ancient story, could be waiting just beneath the surface, ready to be found. We would love to hear which of these ancient wonders resonates most with you. Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more journeys into the world's greatest historical mysteries.